Welcome back. All right, so 7 games today in the National Hockey League. We're going to go through all 7. You'll notice there's 2 games on this board. There's 2 games on the next one as well. When there's only 2 games on at a time, I never know if it's going to be this crazy, really high-scoring game or if there's going to be a lot of notes. So I leave room for 2 columns just in case. All right, so starting things off, Philadelphia in Chicago against the Hawks. Fedotov versus Knight. Veleno fires one wide from the slot. Chicago had the only shot on net 3 minutes in. Forrester fires a rebound wide, and then at 3:59, Drysdale puts one in off Crevier's glove to make it 1-0 Philly. Michkov and Sealer with the assists. The Hawks look to respond. We get a power play for Chicago. That's killed off. 2 shots on net. The Hawks press after it ends, and Maroon would tap one in. Maybe this will be his last career goal. We have no idea. The assists on that one, Foligno and Mikheyev at 7:13. And then Chicago scores again. Joe Veleno, I believe this is his first with Chicago. Bertuzzi and Kurashev with the assists at 8:01. But Philly would answer at 8:13. Sanheim scores from Konechny and Michkov. So just over 8 minutes into the game, we have 4 goals. Felt like the goalies were kind of on their own. Forrester has a chance in close. That's held. And at 11:57, Philadelphia gets their second lead of the game. Brink taps in a loose puck. Cates and Forrester with the assists. So, yeah, 3-2 in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. Shots are 11-7 Flyers with 5.5 minutes left. Reichel to Sligert, near miss there. And then at 18:11 on a face-off win, Bedard roofs one to tie the game at 3. Mikheyev then has a breakaway chance that's defended. The Hawks press to close it out. It's 3-3 after the first. Second period, Konechny has a rush chance that's defended. And then at 2:37, Bertuzzi with a backhand from the doorstep scores to give Chicago the lead back. Kurashev and Veleno with the assists. Flyers look to respond. We get a 2-minute 5-on-3 for Chicago. What a dumb penalty by Michkov to make it 5-on-3. And it was dumb. They were already calling a penalty against Philadelphia, and then you do the two-hander right in front of the ref. They're going to call it. And sure enough, with a 2-minute 5-on-3, Philadelphia scores. Donato tips one in close. Teravainen and Bedard with the assists at 6:42. So Connor Bedard with a couple of points today. Flyers then kill off the 5-on-4. Pressed by Philly with 9 around at the halfway mark, and at 10:17, Konechny scores to get Philadelphia within a goal. Drysdale and Couturier with the assists. We then get a power play for Chicago, and they score on it. So at 13:27, Donato buries a nice pass from Teravainen. Bertuzzi with the other assist. And I already had the 80s magnet on the board because that's the 10th goal, and we're just over halfway through the game. We get a power play for the Flyers. That's killed off. It's 6-4 Chicago after 2 periods of play. Third period early jump for the Flyers. Nazar has a rush chance that's blocked out. Flyers press at 1.5 minutes, but at 2:13, Reichel scores for the Chicago Blackhawks to extend the lead to 7-4. Maroon and Vlasic with the assists, so Maroon with a goal and a helper today. Shots are 2-1 Flyers at 5 minutes. We get a power play for Philadelphia. That's killed off. Levshinov is a net feed that's picked off. The Flyers press with 8 minutes left. The shots are 6-1 Flyers with 6 minutes left, and the opportunities are there, but you don't get any closer. Final score is 7-4. Chicago goes to 21-41-9 with the win. With the loss, Philadelphia 28-35-9. Shots on net, 11-9 Philly in the first, 16-9 Chicago in the second, 8-4 Philly in the third. The final shot's 29-28 for Chicago. Power plays, Philadelphia 0-2, Chicago 2-4. The hits, 24-17 Philadelphia. Fedotov, 22 saves on 29 shots. Spencer Knight, 24 saves on 28 shots. All right. Buffalo and Winnipeg. Reimer versus Comrie. What did I say about this one in the preview last night? I really wanted to put a trap magnet on this. Should have. So early press by the Jets. In fact, the shots are 3-0 for Winnipeg. We're only 2 minutes in, so it looked like it might be a lopsided game for Winnipeg. Peterka has a net drive that's blocked. The teams trade turnovers. Jets have a 3-on-2 that's broken up. Shots are 6-1 for Winnipeg, 9 minutes in. And at 9:15 on a face-off win, Peterka buries one to make it 1-0 Buffalo. Bernard Docker and McLeod with the assist. That's Bernard Docker's first point as a member of the Buffalo Sabres. Jets press to respond. We get a power play for Buffalo. That leads to a shorthanded rush chance for Tanev. That's held. Power play's killed off. Shots are 10-3 Jets with 5.5 minutes left. Colin Miller fires one wide as the Jets get some pressure. Velarde and Niederreiter both exited during that first period. Kind of scary names to have on the list, but they would both return to the game for the second period. Tanev has a buzzer beater near miss there. It's 1-0 Buffalo after the first period. Second period, Early power play for the Jets. The Jets set up in the second minute of that power play. Ehlers has a sharp angle shot that's held, and then at 2:05, Niederreiter puts one in off Malenstein's skate. Perfetti and Nemesnikov with the assists. We have a 1-1 tie. Jets press for the lead. In fact, the shots are 5-1 Winnipeg 5 minutes into the second period. Sabres press at 5.5 minutes. They're kept to the outside. Lowry misses one high on a rebound. We get a power play for Buffalo. That's killed off. Then we get the Jets pressing at the half. Eventually, they get a power play. Connor has a one-timer during that power play that's held. That power play is killed off. Scheifele's denied on a rebound. The Jets press with 2 minutes left. And then at 18:46, Dahlin buries a one-timer from the point. Buffalo is the lead back. The assists, Bernard Docker and McLeod. So it's 2-1 for Buffalo after 2 periods of play. Third period, early Benson chance is held, and that's the only shot on net in the first 4 minutes. So quiet start for Winnipeg. Jets press at 4.5 minutes. We then get a power play for the Sabres. Benson's denied during that. Comrie holds on, and then Kozak buries a rebound just as the penalty comes to an end. It still shows as a power play goal on my side and here as well. Kozak with the assist at 7:13. Just it was like exactly when the power play was coming to an end. But 26 seconds later, Winnipeg answers. Colin Miller on a net drive at 7:39. Scheifele and Stanley with the assists. So makes it a 3-2 lead. Still Buffalo's, but 3-2 instead of 3-1. Jets press for the tie. Sabres then press with 8.5 minutes left. The Jets draw a power play. Scheifele has a wrister that's kicked aside, and then on a fast break, shorthanded, Alex Tuch scores to get the 2-goal lead back for Buffalo. McLeod and Clifton with the assists at 13:21. So, didn't see that coming. The Sabres then finish the kill. Jets press with 4.5 minutes left. Niederreiter's denied from the doorstep. And then at 16:32 on a rush, Ehlers goes far corner. Stanley and DeMello with the assist. And again, the Jets press looking to tie it. Goalie pull-ups with 2:57 left. The fans call one. The referee does not. With 1:38 left, the Jets call a timeout. At 19:13, McLeod makes whatever they discussed unimportant as he hits the empty net, and Buffalo wins 5-2 in Winnipeg. They go to 28-35-6 with the win. The Jets 48-19-4 with the loss. Jets are in a bit of a slump. Shots on net favored Winnipeg the whole way. 10-3 in the first, 13-6 in the second, 13-8 in the third. Final shots 36-17 for Winnipeg. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 3. The hits 24-20 for Winnipeg. Reimer was fantastic, 33 saves on 36 shots. Comrie, 12 saves on 16 shots. All right, board number 2. As you can see, I did need a second column for the game we're about to discuss. Pittsburgh and Florida. Jarry versus Bobrovsky. There's a press by the Penguins. They're kept to the outside. The Panthers press. They're kept to the outside as well. There's some shots getting to the net, not from really high danger chances. Shots are 4-2 Pittsburgh at 4 minutes. Good forechecking by the Penguins, but the Panthers get some pressure at 6 minutes. Teams trade turnovers. Penguins press with 9.5 minutes left, and at 11:24, Reinhart on a turnover gets a goal. Forsling with the assist. It's 1-0 for Florida. Pens look to respond. We get a power play for Pittsburgh, and they score on it at 14:26. Rust roofs one from in close. Carlson and Crosby with the assists, so 1-1 tie. Things get pushy on a hold by Bobrovsky. There's a press by Pittsburgh with 4 minutes left, and at 19:26, Rust gets the second of the first period. He deflects this one in close. Crosby and Raquel with the assists, so 2-1 lead for Pittsburgh. Penguins nearly add another. It's 2-1 after 1. Second period. Verhaeghe's denied on the opening shift. The shots are 3-1 Florida at 3 minutes. The Penguins then press at 4.5 minutes. Teams trade rushes. More Penguins pressure at 6 minutes. We then get a power play drawn by the Penguins, and they score on it. Malkin buries one from the left circle. Rust and Grzelcyk with the assists at 6:50. So it's 3-1 for Pittsburgh in Florida. Then the Panthers draw a power play, and they score on theirs as well at 9:24. Reinhart goes 5-hole on a net drive. Barkov and Bobrovsky with the assists. Panthers then press looking for the tie. The shots are 9-3 Florida with 9 minutes left. The fans call one. The referee does not. Penguins get a power play. That's killed off. The Panthers press in the final minute, but it's 3-2 Pittsburgh after 2. Third period, early press by Florida. Penguins get pinned down, but they block the path to the net. Mikkola then has a wrister that's caught and held. The shots still end up being 4-0 Florida at 4 minutes. Panthers draw a power play. That's killed off. There's a press by Pittsburgh at 8.5 minutes. In fact, there's some good forechecking going on by Pittsburgh at that point as well. There's a near miss for Lundell on a turnover, and then he buries his next chance at 14:28. Lundell goes 5-hole on a wrist shot from the right circle. Lusterinen and Schmidt with the assists to tie the game at 3. Panthers press for the lead. There's more pressure by Florida with 2.5 minutes left, but we're going to overtime. In the overtime, the Penguins control early. The Panthers have a 3-on-1 that's defended. Forsling with a near miss on a rebound, and the Penguins press to close it out. We're going to the shootout. In the shootout, it is Barkov who ends up netting the winner. Florida survives a scare against Pittsburgh. They win this one 4-3 in a shootout. They go to 43-25-3. They open up a 2-point lead over idle Toronto. I put pressure on Toronto to win their next game to keep pace. Pittsburgh with the shootout loss 29-32-11. Yes, they're within 5 points of a playoff spot. No, I don't think that they're going to be able to get there. But hey, they're trying. Pittsburgh's a good example of a team that, that pressure's off, and they're playing pretty well. Shots on net, 16-4 Pittsburgh in the first, 13-6 Florida in the second, 11-3 Florida in the third. Both teams had 2 shots in the overtime. Final shots, 30-27 Florida. Power plays, Pittsburgh 2 for 3, Florida 1 for 2. The hits, 31-21 for Florida. Jari saves 27 out of 30. Bobrovsky, 24 saves on 27 shots. All right, next up. Nashville and St. Louis. This felt like a playoff game. It really did. The hatred between these teams is high, and they're going to play each other again soon. So, Annunen versus Binnington in this one. Early press by Nashville. Shots are 2 apiece 5 minutes in. Nashville presses at 5.5 minutes. We then had a fight between LaRue and Walker. It's not the last of the physicality in this one. Del Gaizo has a screenshot that's held. There's some pushing, and then at 12:13, Kyrou wires one on a rush. Thomas and Neighbors with the assists, so 1-0 St. Louis at that stage. Blues look for another. Shots are 4 apiece with 5.5 minutes left. With 3:36 left, the Blues get a power play, and they score on it. In a tic-tac-toe play, it's Texier putting it in at 16:57. Thomas and Bolduc with the assists. Initially, they gave an assist to Dvorsky, but they took that away and gave it to Bolduc. Instead, it would have been Dvorsky's first point. All punchy with 1.6 seconds left. The Preds come out of that with a power play. Not sure how either. If you're a Blues fan asking how, I don't know. With everything that went on there, I thought at the very least it should have been offsetting. But hey. So to start the second period, Nashville's on a power play that they score on. Forsberg goes far side from the right circle. Blankenberg and Stamkos with the assists at 1:04. It's now a 2-1 lead in favor of the St. Louis Blues. Blues press to respond. There's a near miss for Evangelista on a 2-on-1. The Preds go back to the power play. Things get pushy on a hold by Binnington. Everything gets killed off there. Dvorsky to Texier, near miss. Dalibor Dvorsky was prominent in this game. I thought he looked pretty good. Nashville presses at the half. The fans call one. The referee does not. Shots are 8-2 for Nashville with 6 minutes left. The fans try calling another. Referee still not listening. Blues press with 2 minutes left. They emerge from the second period up 2-1. Third period. An early whistle bails out the Preds because Annunen did not have that puck under control. Teams trade turnovers. Shots are 2-1 St. Louis at 4 minutes. We get a power play for Nashville. And at 10 minutes and 30 seconds, after that power play is done, Falk scores on a 2-on-1 rush from Neighbors and Thomas. I think that was shortly after that power play was done, too. Then there's a press by Nashville with 7.5 minutes left. Things get scrummy on a hold by Binnington. These guys really don't like each other. There's 5 in a game given to Bolduc. It starts as a 4-on-4 because of penalties handed out the way that they are. And then it becomes a minute and 50 seconds of 4-on-3 for St. Louis as the physicality continues. The power play ends up being killed off, so the Preds get the 5-on-4, and it's a major, and the Blues kill off the major. Nashville pulls the goaltender down by 2, and at 19:23, Braden Shen hits the empty net. The assist to Holloway and Falk. The final score in this one, 4-1 for St. Louis. They go to 37, 28, and 7. They're just steamrolling to that playoff spot at this point. Nashville 26, 36, and 8 with the loss, and they didn't do anybody else in the West any favors. Shots on net, 9-7 St. Louis in the first, 8-3 Nashville in the second, 17-6 Nashville in the third. Final shots, 32-18 for the Preds. Power plays, Nashville 1 for 5. St. Louis 1 for 2. The hits, 26-23 for Nashville. Annunen saves 14 out of 17. Binnington, excellent night for Binnington. 31 saves on 32 shots. And now it's time for board number 3. All right, let's get the score on this one. Alakazam, and it's there. So, of course, I was recording the first 2 boards during the second intermission of this one. I just forgot to get the score on that game. All right. So we will talk about that game, being Tampa Bay in Vegas against the Vegas Golden Knights. Vasilevsky versus Samsonov. Kolasar has a chance to Saad that gets blocked by Vesey. Vasilevsky had a good start to this. The shots are 3-0 Tampa at 3 minutes. And by a good start, I mean, hey, he kept that away from his net. Vegas wasn't getting to the net. We get a power play for Vegas. That becomes a 4-on-4. Eichel to Hanifin. That gets blocked. Eichel then has a rush chance that deflects out. There's a post for a point from the slot. Everything ends up being killed off. Dorofiev's denied on a break out of the box. Vegas draws a power play. Gord had a fight with Howden as that penalty's called. And then on the power play, Roy scores. He roofs one in close. Carlson and Pietrangelo with the assists at 11:01. The Bolts would press to respond, but at 13:33, Hurdle goes blocker side from the slot. Smith with the assist. So, yeah, Vasilevsky with 2 goals allowed on 2.5 minutes. There you go. 2:51 left. Vegas gets a power play. That's killed off. But seconds after it's done at 19:13, Eichel with a one-timer far corner. Whitecloud with the assist. And it's 3-0 for Vegas at that point. With 4.3 seconds left, Tampa gets a power play. They need something because they're down 3-0 after the first. Second period, Vegas finishes the kill. Gord has a tipped shot that's saved after that's done. Eichel has a net drive chance that's saved. Hutton had a slot shot kicked aside. Nice to see Ben Hutton out there for Vegas. Smith has a wrister that's held by Vasilevsky. Vegas presses at 5.5 minutes. Shots are 6-4 Vegas at 6 minutes. We get a power play for the Lightning. That's killed off. 1 shot on net. Tampa Bay then presses with 9.5 minutes left. Hedman has a net feed that's kicked aside. And then at 17:38 on a 2-on-1 rush, Paul scores from Gonsalves and Radish to make the score 3-1. And that's your score after 2. Third period. Bolts press at 3 minutes. Cirelli to Hedman near miss. The Bolts press at 8.5 minutes. Shots are 2-1 Tampa, 9 minutes in. Bolts press with 7.5 minutes left. Hurdle is denied on a breakaway. He draws a Vegas power play. In fact, initially it was 5 minutes given to Lilleberg. They dropped it to 2. I was really surprised they didn't leave it at 5. But either way, that's killed off. And then at 17:18, Vegas scores again. It's Haig from Pietrangelo and Howden to make it 4-1. That's into the empty net. With 1:54 left, the Bolts get a power play, and they score on it. At 19:55, it's Kucherov from Hedman and Hagel to make the score 4-2, and that is your final in favor of Vegas. Shots are 13 apiece in the first, 15-8 Tampa in the second, 9 apiece in the third. Final shots 37-30 in favor of the Lightning. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 4 in this one. The hits 27-14 for Tampa. Vasilevsky 26 saves on 29 shots. Samsonov saved 35 out of 37. I think it's important too to acknowledge Samsonov had a really good game. The Vegas Golden Knights needed that from him. I think it's the best game he's played in a while. All right, moving along. The Carolina Hurricanes in Anaheim against the Ducks. Anderson versus Dostal. Early jump for the Canes. They had the only shot on net 3.5 minutes in. Carolina presses at 4 minutes. The Ducks would draw a power play. Zegras is denied. Anderson holds. Power play ends up being killed off. The Ducks are throwing some hits early on. They out-hit Carolina, but Carolina just they don't hit. They're not a physical team. Shots are 4-2 Carolina at 9.5 minutes. We get a power play for the Canes. That's killed off. 4 shots on net. Terry has a net drive that's saved. We get a 4-minute power play for the Anaheim Ducks, and this can be considered a turning point in the game. The Canes kill that off. They only allow 1 shot. The Ducks do press to close out the period, but we have no score after the first. Second period, early jump for Carolina. Strong forechecking by Carolina. Kokaniemi's denied and close. Ducks press at 4.5 minutes. A net feed to Terry gets blocked. Shots are 3-2 for the Ducks at 6 minutes. And then at 7:59, Jankowski continues his hot streak. He scores from Jost and Burns. The Ducks then press at 9.5 minutes. Leo Carlson has a net feed that's blocked. The Canes press with 8.5 minutes left. Lacombe then has a net feed that's picked off, and at 13:04 on a rush, Killorn puts one through Anderson to tie the game at 1. Lacombe with the assist. The Canes would then press, and they score. As I'm writing it on the board at 14:37, kind of rude. Martinook buries a rebound. Gostisbehere and Stankoven with the assists there, so Carolina gets their lead back. The Ducks look to respond. We get a power play for Carolina. That becomes 39 seconds of 4-on-4. There's a shorthanded rush by Aho that's saved. In fact, he had 2 rushes during that power play and helps to kill that off. 23.4 seconds left. There's another power play for the Ducks. So the Ducks are down 2-1 after 2, but they do have the power play starting the third. There's a shorthanded rush by Aho early in the third. That power play's killed off. Canes get a power play of their own, and they score on it at 2:32. It's Hall from Blake and Jarvis to make the score 3-1 for the Canes. Carolina presses at 4.5 minutes. Zellweger's denied twice back-to-back. The teams trade rushes. We get a power play for Anaheim. McTavish has a wrister that's held. That's killed off. Freddie Anderson really earned his money in the third period of this one. Ducks press with 3.5 minutes left at 16:37. Zegras buries one in close. Trouba with the assist. And so the Ducks get a little bit closer. But then Hall scores at 17:13, burying one from in close, same as he had earlier on the power play. Kokaniemi and Roslovic with the assist. So now the Ducks pull the goaltender, and Hall hits the empty net for the hat trick. The assist to Roslovic at 18:02. Carolina wins 5-2. They go to 43, 23, and 4 with the win. With the loss, Anaheim 30, 32, and 8 on the season. Shots on net, 11-6 Carolina in the first, 15-11 Carolina in the second, 19-11 Anaheim in the third. Final shots, 37-36 Carolina. Power plays, Carolina 1 for 3, Anaheim 0 for 6. That's what really stands out there. The hits, 23-9 for Anaheim. Anderson saves 34 out of 36. Dostal saves 32 out of 36 at the other end. All right, last game of the night, Boston and LA. Boston's really hoping this season comes to an end quickly. Swayman versus Kemper in this one. Boston does jump out to an early lead. 19 seconds in, it's Elias Lindholm from Koepke. Bruins look for another, but at 2:43 on LA's first shot, they score, same as Boston did on their first shot. Kopitar buries one on a net drive. Kempe and Clark with the assists. We have a 1-1 tie. Shots of 3-1 Boston at 5 minutes. Byfield's denied on a 2-on-1 rush. With 7.5 minutes left, the shots are 5-3 in favor of Boston. Boston doing their best to try to contain that LA attack and all that. Kings press with 5 minutes left. Spence has a shot that's blocked. More pressure after that. Fiala then has a net drive that's defended. And at 19:31 on a cross-crease pass, Fogle buries his 100th career National Hockey League goal. Dano and Lewis with the assists. So it's a 2-1 lead for LA after one. Second period, 2:07 in. Geekie roofs one in close on a turnover. Zaka with the assist, and suddenly it's a 2-2 tie. Byfield then has a rush chance that's held. The Kings press at 3 minutes. Shots are 2-1 Kings at 5 minutes. Teams trade turnovers, and then off of a face-off win at 8:46, Doughty buries a rebound in front of the net. Anderson and Byfield with the assists. So that makes the score 3-2 in favor of the LA Kings. Power play for Boston, that's killed off. The emotions are rising in the second half. It was the Nesson feed that I had for this. And yes, Boston's getting frustrated. They're getting tired of the losing and all that. And playing out the string has to be frustrating for those players, right? And we almost got a goalie fight. The frustration almost led to Swayman and Kemper, and it didn't happen. They head them off, and then they get penalized for leaving the crease. Why give them penalties if they don't touch? Anyways, almost had a goalie fight. Kings press with 4.5 minutes left. The Bruins press with 3 minutes left at 17:38. Kuzmenko buries one on a pass from behind the net. Kempe and Spence with the assists. It's 4-2 in favor of the Kings after 2. Third period. Teams trade rushes. Wotherspoon has a slapper that's kicked aside, and at 4:05, Byfield wires one on a 2-on-1 rush. Fiala and Laferriere with the assists. It makes it 5-2 in favor of the Kings. Bruins press at 5.5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. The Kings press at 9 minutes, and at 9:20, Jeannot tips one in. Clark and Edmondson with the assists. The Kings would press for another. Eventually, they do get it. At 16:03, during another press, Hellenius goes 5-hole. Edmondson and Jeannot with the assist, and so it's a 7-2 lead for the Kings. That is your final score. The No Mercy magnet is on the board in this one. The Kings go to 39, 21, and 9 with the win. The Bruins drop to 30, 33, and 9 with the loss. Shots on net, 8-5 LA in the first, 8-7 LA in the second, 7-1 Kings in the third. Final shots are 23-13 for the Kings. Kings didn't have a lot of opportunities, but what they had were really good opportunities that went in the net. Power plays, Boston 0 for 1. The Kings didn't have any. The hits, 23-13 in favor of Boston. Swayman, 16 saves on 23 shots. Not his best effort. Kemper, 11 saves on 13 shots. Not overly busy, Darcy Kemper. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.